Hello, today we're going to look at whether ChatGPT really can teach you a language. We're going to use Japanese as our example, but this will apply to pretty much all languages. I'll be going over pros, cons, how I would personally use it to study a language, and how I'd use it if I solely wanted to learn a language with ChatGPT. So can ChatGPT actually teach you a language like Japanese? With other materials, sure. Using AI alone, you possibly could do it, but it would be a case of using AI to make your life harder. We're going to get into why in the video. I just want to put the little note now. I do know AI is a debate, especially if you're into the arts. I love illustrating, always have done, always will do. But AI is not going anywhere. Big companies are already using it, schools, business, even other language learners. Ignoring it doesn't help me, it just kind of puts me behind, and this is from a personal standpoint, so I personally do not mind it. Okay, let's start with the pros. What is ChatGPT good for when learning a language? So I'd say it's pretty good at grammar breakdowns. You can ask it what a grammar point means and get a pretty clear breakdown with examples. If your breakdown isn't clear enough already, you can ask it to simplify, etc. So ChatGPT is pretty good at instant translation help. Copy a sentence and say, translate this to English and explain it. Asking it to explain it, in my opinion, means that there's less chance of it being wrong, but I don't know, maybe that's just me overthinking it. It also does a good job at rewriting sentences. You can say, can you rewrite this sentence with more natural Japanese, or could you correct this like a native speaker would? You can also use it to practice conversation or roleplay. ChatGPT has a feature where you can talk to it as if you're having a conversation with a person. In my opinion, this is literally one of the best ways to use ChatGPT to learn. You could say something like, pretend you're a waiter in Tokyo and I'm ordering lunch, or you're my Japanese friend and I'm practicing small talk. The pro to this is you don't feel like you're actually annoying someone by having them say something over and over again. You can get ChatGPT to make you quizzes and flashcards. You can ask it, make me a 5-question vocab quiz based on these words. It's kind of like having a tutor who never gets tired. Oh my god, it's coming for my job. Anyway, maybe it gives you some weird answers sometimes. Let's look at the cons. ChatGPT is just not good at long-term structure. It might give you a weekly study plan, but the longer you study with it, the more you're going to be like, oh, we already did that, or oh, that's irrelevant for my level. It can give incorrect and weird answers. Sometimes it makes things up just to give you an answer. It also doesn't correct every mistake. It may miss unnatural phrases. Having said that, a lot of the time beginners' sentences can be unnatural, so it depends on what way they're unnatural. It also doesn't replace speaking with real people. I imagine if you're considering this already, you probably don't have the option to speak with that many real people, but you won't get used to accents, pauses, or live conversation flow. ChatGPT does have the microphone and voice feature to make it feel like you're talking to a person, which is absolutely great, especially for listening, but it's not a real person. You might not notice, but ChatGPT can't actually analyze or hear your speech through the microphone. It can help with pronunciation tips, spelling, and example phrases, but it can't actually listen to what you're saying and say, that was wrong. When you speak using the mic, your voice is being transcribed by a separate speech recognition system, usually OpenAI's Whisper or your phone's built-in tool. That transcription, the text, is what gets sent to ChatGPT to respond to. So even if your pronunciation is off, the system might still guess what you meant based on the context and sound patterns. Therefore, if ChatGPT knows you want to practice saying, how much is that? It will say you're correct if you're close enough. So would I use ChatGPT alone to learn a language? No chance. ChatGPT is best used with materials, not instead of them. You are literally making your life harder trying to create your own lesson plans when there's hundreds, sometimes free, already available. Unless you're like a language prodigy, you'll need some kind of guide, book, or course that shows you the full picture and tells you what you should be studying as a beginner so you just don't miss anything. Without that, you'll end up with random knowledge and no real sense of progress. You'll also naturally be biased in what you think is important to learn and what you can skip. It's just a very difficult and overly complicated way to learn a language, especially if you plan to take a language exam. Skipped over the word blackboard because you don't think you'll need it? Well, the official language test says you do. GPT is generally pretty good when it comes to small tasks, but the larger and more detailed the task you give it is, the more it's going to mess up. You simply can't tell it to give you 3 to 6 months of beginner's Japanese content and expect it to make you the perfect study plan. Follow a set course like Pocket Japanese or whatever materials you've chosen to use, and when you hit something tricky, ask ChatGPT for help. Following a set course will help you with pacing and ensuring you don't miss important words and grammar. For example, Pocket Japanese introduces 14 words, 3 kanji, and 1 to 2 grammar points per lesson. Nice and easy. Pre-made courses build off what you've already learned, so for example, one lesson might be this, that, and that over there, the next being how much is this? There's a natural flow with them that you might not get with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is great at expanding on what you've learned in a course. Ask it to mark your work for you, give you more quizzes and reading practice, whatever helps. If you've gotten this far and I've not put you off learning solely using ChatGPT, let's look at some things to consider if you're set on this method. Just a note, it would be 10 times harder if you're using ChatGPT to learn your first, second language. Before you start using ChatGPT to study, you need to understand your goals. Just want to get by in a country for a holiday? Ask for the most common phrases. You can even have a quick practice conversation on voice, just remember it can't actually check your pronunciation is correct. If your goal is language fluency or some level of proficiency rather than just holiday vocab, look up your chosen language's official exams. You can use this as a kind of guide. For Japanese, it's the JLPTs. I would love to say is that you could ask ChatGPT for the 300 most common Japanese beginners words and 50 most common grammar points, and just start studying them. But this won't work long term. This is because ChatGPT won't have the ability, or at least has failed every time I've tried, to factor in your previous lessons. What I mean by that is saying make me a lesson with these 10 words and this grammar point is almost guaranteed to end in ChatGPT using extra words you've not learnt and extra grammar points. This will only get worse as lessons go on, and it will start to add up and just feel a bit stressful. So if you don't want to use any other material, I recommend you at least have a look at the easiest language proficiency level and what material you need to know. If you're lucky, there'll be a clear criteria of words and grammar. I know this isn't solely ChatGPT, but it's necessary to have an idea of what you need to study. Here, I'd make a practical timeline so I have something to stick to. For JLPT M5, most language schools do it in 3 to 9 months, which includes studying it 3 to 5 hours per day. Realistically, you probably won't be studying that much, and should maybe go for 6 to 12 months, unless you're just fab at languages. Give yourself a set number of words and grammar to learn a day and tell ChatGPT to make lessons for you. This is where it seems a bit pointless to me because you're putting in a lot of effort to choose words and grammar when there's already things out there that can guide you through what to learn. We've also established that ChatGPT can't correct your pronunciation, for now. Watch some YouTube videos, get an online tutor for conversation, or even listen to ChatGPT say the sentences. This isn't exactly solely ChatGPT, but it might help. I would then use ChatGPT to make me practice quizzes, but it's also just as important, if not more important, to look at past proficiency quizzes if that is your aim. I'd also make sure it's giving me a few hours of content per week, not just like 20 minutes. So hopefully now you have a good idea of how it's possible to learn a language with ChatGPT and also how not to go about it. Can it help you learn Japanese faster, more deeply, with way less frustration? Sure, if you pair it with the right resources and use it intentionally. It's not about replacing real learning, it's about making it smoother, more flexible, and more personal. If you're studying Japanese solo and want a course built for this kind of flexibility, I recommend checking out my little handmade website, Pocket Japanese. It's what I wish I had when I started, and I think it makes a great base to combine with tools like ChatGPT. It also supports me being able to make videos like this.